You like games, right? No? Then why are you here? Okay, so you do like games. What's the only thing better than getting a new game? Getting a new game for free. And then what's the only thing better than that? Getting multiple for free. That's the premise I've lured you in with, right? That's the title. As for the whole best part, that's subjective. So I'm not lying, technically. Hamumu Games, run by Mike Hummel. Despite having a name that suggests he's Mark Hamill's evil basement twin, he is an exceptional game developer. He's been grinding away at the indie scene since the 90s. In 2012 he made some multiplayer Minecraft Terraria thing as well, which he sold to Ubisoft for ridiculous money, but I don't care about that. What I do care about is the aftermath, where he just turned around and made his entire back catalogue of games free to download. This is a big deal for me. When I was younger I played this catalogue to death, at least the main projects within it, which is what I'll be focusing on, but I paid for the privilege. I'm not saying you have to play them just because I like them enough to pay for them. You know, go play Bugsnax if you want. But hear me out. Let me convince you to give these games a shot, because despite their age and their flaws, their many flaws really, they charm me like a Spanish prince. There's a genuineness, a real special feeling to them that I get from very little else. I'm not usually big on nostalgia. You know, in fact, I'm generally the opposite, but this is an exception. You clicked on the video, you're contractually obliged to listen to me. Art style. It's all well and good booting up your RTX 4590 SFPX and individually ray tracing hair strands on a bar full of people, but give it a few years and that's not good enough anymore. It's been overshadowed. Objectively obsolete. But then look at stylized games. Hollow Knight, for example. Hollow Knight looked good when it came out, still looks good now, and it doesn't really look any less good now than it did when it came out. When Crysis came out, it was the best looking game ever. Now it looks dated. Now all these games from Hamumu are stylized. Claymation style, to be precise. Is it a little dated? Maybe, but not as dated as you'd expect 20-year-old games to be. Then going beyond the style as a concept, you've got the creativity and imagination that goes into the designs. In particular, the creatures are so inspired. You don't have 12 different flavors of zombie, 8 different flavors of gunman, and that's it. Call it a wrap. I understand different games have different requirements when it comes to that kind of thing, but it doesn't make it any less impressive, just the amount of designs here. I struggle to even fathom the effort that went into the ideas behind them, let alone the execution. Now, these games, the ones that I'm recommending, are all isometric games. ISO being a type of container and metric being the correct way to measure things. Despite the art style and the control schemes being similar, their actual genre varies through from level-based puzzle and action games to a full-blown RPG. They all lack mouse controls, they all operate on 8-directional movement and attacks, and they're all relatively simple in that regard. The most impressive is probably the Looneyland series, which consists of 2 open-world games. Yeah, I know, that's definitely something that no one's done before. The second of which has a full leveling system with skill trees and talents. Yeah, it's super jank, yeah, the balance is pretty poor. But that's never stopped a game being good before. People like Elder Scrolls, people like Elden Ring. And gameplay wise, I'm not saying they're super tactical games, super innovative in terms of gameplay. That doesn't matter necessarily. Not everything has to be super innovative to be good, especially when it's this old. You want another bonus? Level editors. When I was a kid, there was nothing I liked more than level editors. If a game had a level editor, that game was immediately 3 times cooler to me, even if it was a game. The idea that I could make levels within the game, something about that was just awesome. It's disgustingly cliche, but these games really do hold a special place in my heart, and I like to think that they're there for a reason. Maybe it's just something to do with me being young when I played them, or if it's just the style, but I find myself comparing a lot of games that I play to these games. As ridiculous as that sounds, it's the bar. I'm looking for games to have the same deranged energy that this series of games has. It just embodies it. Look at this enemy. This enemy's called a Bodza. Bodza. Now that I've called it a Bodza, and you've seen it, there is literally no other possible thing it could be called. Once the word Bodza's entered your head, after you've been shown that, that's it. This is now a Bodza. You'll never be able to give it a more fitting name, and that's a fact. I think about Bodzas 27 times a day. I wake up, Bodzas. For breakfast, Bodza. Dinner's ready, Bodza. Hooks dug into my memory. This might sound like an insane rant about one creature, and it is, but there is a point here. You asked me what the bad guys in the last Call of Duty were called. I don't know. Al something, I presume, or some name like The Phantoms or something evil sounding. No idea. I played it 6 months ago, and I still have absolutely no idea. You tell me your name, and I've forgotten it by the time you finish the sentence. But Bodzas? Bodzas will forever stay with me. And this is just one enemy design, out of hundreds. I suppose I feel like I've got to try and give back to a developer whose games I've enjoyed for so many years. He's criminally underrated. Maybe you'll think they suck. Maybe you already do think they suck. Maybe I've put you off. Don't care. If 1, 2, 3 people enjoy some of these games and I expose them to it, like a sort of enjoyable radiation poisoning, that suits me fine. To me, the fact that I can rant about one enemy from an obscure 16-year-old game for that length of time should be proof enough of the effect it's had on me. You want another detail? 90% of the sound effects in the game, this guy's just made of his mouth. That's crazy behavior. That's Germa level crazy behavior. But it's so good. Oh yeah, and it's all family friendly. Don't know if anyone cares about that, but it is worth pointing out. So you don't have an excuse for not at least trying it now. I'd recommend Looney Land 2 at a start. It'll run on just about anything. So if you've got a 14-year-old spider-infested Toshiba sitting in a corner, that'll do. Seriously, they're not demanding in the slightest. The links to the main catalogue of the games, which I think you should try, are in the description to the video. I'm sort of just hoping that if I incoherently slobber and shout about things, that people will give them a shot. Don't know if that'll work. Probably not. It's never worked in court for me, so make of that what you will.